My wife wanted an open marriage, but I gave her a taste of reality that ended our marriage. I never thought I'd find myself in this position, but here we are. I'm sitting alone in a small apartment, reflecting on the wreckage of my marriage. What I thought was a simple request from my wife, one I could understand but never thought would go anywhere, ended up being the catalyst for the end of everything we built together. It all started a few months ago. My wife, let's call her Sarah, came to me with an idea one evening after dinner. We'd been married for 6 years, had a house, 2 dogs, and a comfortable life. She said, somewhat nervously, that she had been thinking about something and wanted to get my thoughts on it. The idea? An open marriage. At first, I thought she was joking. I mean, she was always passionate about personal freedom, independence, and doing what felt right for her, but I never thought it would come to something like this. I asked her to explain herself. She told me that she loved me, but she had desires and curiosities she felt weren't being fulfilled in our relationship. She said it wasn't about me, but about her own exploration, her own growth. To be clear, I wasn't naive enough to think that couples never face challenges with intimacy or temptation. But, to me, the idea of an open marriage felt wrong. It felt like a betrayal. Not because I thought she wasn't capable of loving me, but because of how it would alter the very nature of our relationship. But I wanted to be open-minded. I respected Sarah's autonomy and didn't want to be the kind of partner who immediately shut down her feelings or desires. So, we talked. A lot. We had long discussions about boundaries, rules, and what this would mean for our future. In those conversations, I tried to make it clear that I didn't want this. I didn't want to share my wife, didn't want to open the door for other people to step into our lives. I told her, though, that I'd need some time to process it. I wasn't ready to dive in head first, but I wasn't ready to just reject the idea either. We agreed to take things slow. That was our first mistake. Weeks went by, and Sarah continued to bring it up. She was excited, even seemed a little bit obsessed with the idea. Every conversation revolved around the potential benefits of an open marriage: more freedom, more excitement, more experimentation. It wasn't just about sex, she said. It was about growth, individuality, and the concept of living authentically together, but with room to explore apart. At this point, I was deeply uncomfortable. I tried to communicate my feelings, but it felt like no matter what I said, the conversation kept coming back to her desires. She seemed increasingly distant, like she was just waiting for me to agree so we could move forward. I was starting to feel like I was losing her, like my objections were somehow wrong or outdated. Then one night, she came home from a night out with friends and told me she'd met someone. She was excited, her eyes wide with that gleam that I hadn't seen in months. "He's really cool, we get along so well," she said, clearly testing the waters. That's when it hit me, she was already halfway down the path. She'd already decided what she wanted, and I was just the one holding her back. That was the moment I realized we were done. Not because I didn't love her, but because I realized I couldn't give her what she wanted without losing myself. I decided to act, but not how she might have expected. Instead of giving her the green light, I told her I couldn't do this anymore. I said I couldn't accept an open marriage because it wasn't the kind of relationship I wanted. I told her I needed a connection that was exclusive, a bond that was built on trust and mutual respect, things I felt were slipping away from us. Her response was a mix of confusion and frustration. "But you said you'd think about it," she argued. "This is what we agreed on." But we hadn't agreed on anything, at least not in a way that felt right to me. I realized I had allowed the idea of an open marriage to fester without truly taking a stand. The next few weeks were a blur. Sarah tried to convince me that we could make it work, that I was just being scared, that I was overreacting. But deep down, I knew this was a fundamental divide that couldn't be bridged. We weren't on the same page, and it was becoming clear that we wanted different things. Eventually, I moved out. We tried to stay in touch, tried to figure out how to salvage our friendship, but it became impossible. The trust was gone, the connection had been severed, and the marriage was over. It wasn't just the open marriage idea, it was the fact that we had different visions for our future, and no amount of compromise could erase that. Looking back, I don't regret standing my ground. It was painful, and it was a difficult decision, but I knew I had to choose my own peace over a relationship that no longer felt right for me. Sarah got what she wanted, but in the end, so did I, just not in the way either of us expected.